All right, we will get started. Welcome to the July 26th, 2021 Water Commissioners meeting. In accordance with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law by Governor Baker, tonight's Water Commissioners meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom and will not be open to the public for physical attendance. The meeting is being recorded, live streamed and cable broadcast by the Easton Community Access Television, Comcast 98 and Verizon 23, and on ECAT's website, www.eastoncat.org. This meeting is closed captioned for the hearing impaired. If you're watching on your computer, you'll see a closed caption button at the toolbar on the bottom of your screen. If you're watching at home and you have a question or a comment, you can email Michael Blanchard at mblanchard@easton.ma.us or pose your question on the Q&A feature of the Zoom portal. Please remember to include your name and street address for our minutes. At this time, I'd like to ask each Water Commissioner member to state their name to ensure that we have a quorum.
Craig Barger.
Mark Lamb.
Jamie Stebbins.
Jennifer Stacy.
And Dottie Fulgenetti. Terrific. So the first item on the agenda tonight is a vote for the order of assessment for the final sewer betterments at the Five Corners Sewer District. Connor, you want to lead us in this?
Sure. So just a little bit of background while we move DPW Director Dave Field and Jack Troidel from Woodard and Curran into the panel. Tonight is the final administrative step associated with the Five Corners Sewer Project, which wrapped its substantial completion last summer. Typically, the schedule would have seen the board voting these betterments, which are reflective of the proportional cost borne by property owners who have access to this utility last summer. But the board and the town sought a one-year deferral basically from the town's lender, which is the Clean Water Trust, at no interest in light of the economic hardship posed by COVID. And we were able to get that. So here we are tonight. And I believe Jack's going to provide a quick summary of the project just for the board's edification that's in your packet. And then Dave and I can answer any questions you would have.
Terrific. Thanks for being here tonight, Jack.
Yep, no problem. I had to unmute. So yeah, I'll run through a quick history, the cost, and the next steps, and I can answer any questions in more detail. But just as a reminder, this project started 6 years ago in 2015 with an intermunicipal agreement with Mansfield. The phase one sewer force main was completed in 2017. And we, as Connor said, last year, phase two, the collection system connecting to that force main was completed. We've had several sewer betterment outreach meetings over the last several years in 2018, 2019, an update last year, and then we did a mailing on the betterments in May earlier this year. Looking at the cost of the project, it was $21.1 million overall. We were able to defray $11.1 million of that, primarily through a diff at $4.5 million, and the MassWorks grant at, I think it was $1.5 million, as well as some other funding. So that was a huge win for the project. The total amount to be recouped via betterments is $10 million. There's 321 properties, and they're all assigned a certain amount of SBUs, SBUs based on the use. So there were 506 SBUs. And when you take the 10 million and you divide it by the 506, we came out with a final sewer betterment amount of $19,837. So every property owner was notified in May earlier this year of that number. Tonight, you're looking at the vote for the order of assessments to get recorded at the registry. Betterments would be issued in August or early September, where the property owners can review the amount due and decide whether they want to pay it now or finance it over up to 30 years. And the pass-through interest on that is currently estimated at the 2.55% interest from the trust. So that would be just direct for any financing used. If there's no financing, there's no additional cost there. The monthly equivalent of the betterment is just under $100. And then that number actually does go down every year. So that's also a benefit. And property owners would begin repayments of that with the 2 final fiscal year tax bills, which are the first 2 that come out in early 2022. So I try to keep it brief. I can expand on any of those topics if you'd like me to.
So, Jack, if I can just build on that a little bit. So Jack mentioned this project, the total cost came in with between the intermunicipal agreement purchase of capacity for Mansfield, design, 2 phases of construction at just over 21 million. So this is the largest non-building project the town's ever done, and certainly one of the most complex from an engineering and construction standpoint. And so the budgets appropriated by town meeting numbered over 24 million. And so the final project costs are well within that, roughly 23% below that budget. And because of that, along with construction coming in under budget, we were able to deliver the project despite its size and complexity with the lowest per household betterment cost of any project we've done this decade. So when we started looking at preliminary betterments, I think almost 3 full years ago, that range was 28 to 32,000. That was understandably met with some sticker shock by a lot of the folks who own property in this district. And that's the final betterment that Jack just touched on, the 19,837 represents a decrease of more than 10,000 from those preliminary estimates. So really, really happy about the work of the folks in the neighborhood, town staff, the board, town meeting on the diff, state partners on the grants that really brought a tremendous amount of different financial streams into this, along with Avalon mitigation money to make this possible.
And it's already attracted some new investments, some new businesses starting up in that area. So that's really exciting too, especially during COVID.
Yeah, we've had folks tying into the sewer, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, since last August. I believe some of the larger pad sites tied in right away. There was folks who worked out agreements with the Board of Health to basically get a Title V waiver and get businesses going in anticipation of the sewer before it was even done. Things like Kinfolk, you have Starbucks being new construction down there. It's really great to see.
That's correct. We have about 42,000 gallons a day right now going to Mansfield, which is great.
Yep. That's probably more than the first 2 districts combined already, right?
Correct.
So really has been very successful.
And I guess I would want to add that I really appreciate the collaboration between the community, the people that live in that area, the businesses, and Connor, you and David and your staff really have gone so far, really to think outside the box to be able to bring these costs down, and then even to figure out how to negotiate being able to defer these betterments for a year. I mean, we were all just, trying to figure out how are we ever going to be able to ask people to do this during COVID. So to be able to push it out for a year, I know that you worked really hard to do that, and really appreciate those efforts. It was really important. Craig, do you have any comments or questions?
I just want to second what you said, Donnie, that the work on behalf of Connor and David and town staff, getting the grants that were instrumental, getting the diff passed, and the cooperation of the community was extraordinary. And I remember the first meeting we had at the VFW. It was tense, and to say the least. But it grew from there with people understanding what the benefits of this project are to the town of Easton, to the individual landowners in the area, and the fact that community of 5 Corners came together in support of this was very significant. And I'm very glad that we were able to reduce the cost by, what did you say, kind of 23%?
That was the budget. The betterment cost dropped more than the budget.
That's correct. They went from 29 to 32 down to 19,000. That's a significant drop, and I'm very pleased that we were able to do that. So thank you, Connor. Thank you, David. And And thank you to the people of the Five Corners District.
Mark?
Yeah, echo the same things. Phenomenal work on behalf of everybody. Everybody really came together. You mentioned that the project, the cost, it cost less for the homeowners, but I don't know if you mentioned it was either on time or ahead of time. Did you mention that?
So it was roughly on time.
Yeah, but still, a project of this magnitude to be on time is incredible. So I mean, I just wanted to point that out as well. Great work by everyone, and I'm glad we're actually at the point now where it's solidified and we can start sending things out and move out of this.
Great. Jamie and Jen, you are new to this. This happened before you started, so I'm curious what your feedback is.
Yeah, I'll just say that perspective even during our finance committee time was how much the community involvement and even a lot of the businesses that you patronize today, you walk in and the positive things spoken about this project and the collaboration with the town. And I think it says a lot. It's something this size, this magnitude, touches people, especially with this type of betterment. It's amazing to see the positive energy that's been around it and continues to be. So thank you to everybody involved.
And I agree, just echoing what everyone else has already said, this is fantastic. I know that initially those higher betterments were a bit of a shock, but this new, I imagine folks are going to be very pleased when they hear about how things are coming in now. And agreeing with everybody else said, it really is a testament to the community coming together, communicating, understanding, and seeing the big picture of where this will bring Easton over the coming years, which I'm really excited to see happen. So thank you for everybody for your hard work.
Great. And I see that there are some people in the audience. I do have a note that I'll read from Dale Carrister. And if anybody else has a comment, just put that in the Q&A and I will read it. From Dale Carrister, 21 South Street. He says, on behalf of the approximately 175 members of the Furnace Village Neighborhood Collaborative Group, and on behalf of all those impacted by the sewer project, I'd like to extend our deepest appreciation to Connor, Michael, Stephanie, David, and each of the sewer commissioners for all that you've done to listen to our concerns and to work with our group in order to substantially reduce the sewer betterment assessment, more equitably allocate the assessments, and work to minimize the impact of the construction. From the moment that our representatives reached out to the town shortly after receiving the initial estimates as to the expected assessment, you opened your doors to hear our concerns, answer our questions, and work with our members. Much appreciated, and thank you. This really should be the model by which all local government decisions are made, and to have the community be so involved is really, it's great. It's wonderful. So we all agree that we appreciate that. So I don't see any other comments. With that, if there's no other questions, we could move to vote. Craig, I don't know if you have that handy in your packet on a recommended motion.
Yes,
Great.
I do. I move to adopt the final order of general assessments for the final sewer betterments associated with the Five Corners Sewer District dated July 26th, 2021, as written, and incorporate the text of such order into the minutes of this meeting.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Barb. Back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
JC, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. All right. The only other thing on the agenda for here is the general minutes dated August 10th, 2020, just about a year ago. So if somebody would like to make a motion, and for Jen and for Jamie, we're voting to accept the minutes. So you are welcome to vote on those, even though you weren't on the board at that time.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Barger and Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
JC, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. Okay, well, with no other business, I'd like to thank people who were here tonight to hear this meeting, and I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, Lamb.
Barger, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. And thank you, David and Jack, for being here tonight. So we're going to pause for a couple of moments.
The recording has stopped.
We stop that, and the recording is going to start in a second.
This meeting is being recorded.